In recent days, news has made the rounds that Target has retired its internal DPCI numbers for Hasbro's Star Wars The Vintage Collection line with no replacement currently. That is, they clearanced out any TVC stock they had and reset their aisles with no replacements in their system and no locations for TVC figures on the shelf with the latest planogram reset. What does this mean, and is it bad news for Star Wars The Vintage Collection? Before we begin, this wasn't a planned video and it's not part of the TVC series. However, I felt this was an important topic to discuss due to what I believe could have deep ramifications for the future of TVC. Target assigns DPCI numbers for the items it carries in its stores. All items on Target shelves have these numbers. With regards to Hasbro Star Wars figures, DPCI numbers are given to assortments of figures such as TVC Basic and TVC Deluxe. Basic figures, of course, are the single-carded figures, while the Deluxe figures would be the larger boxes at the higher price points. Exclusive figures have separate DPCI numbers. Occasionally, a DPCI, even for Star Wars figures, will be retired and replaced with a new one when an assortment is refreshed. I'm not talking about a new wave, but rather every few years when a major reset is occurring in store aisles or significant changes are made by the manufacturer to denote a change in assortment. As reported in recent days by yakface.com, linked below in the description, Target has retired the existing TVC DPCI numbers, but did not replace them. In fact, in their latest toy aisle reset, there are no physical spaces for TVC figures. After this news started to spread, it caught the attention of Hasbro's Steve Evans, director of fan product for Star Wars and Marvel, who graciously appeared last month on Cantina Social Hour. I'll link the episode in the description below. In his Instagram story, Steve noted that the TVC line has not been rested or canceled. He did not specifically address Target, but he did confirm TVC is not over. And I never believed that it was, because we obviously know there is much more coming in the pipeline, including the HasLab reveal coming on May the 4th. With regards to Target, why would they stop carrying TVC? I have a few thoughts, but honestly, it comes down to sales. At the end of the day, if Target isn't making money on something, it's not going to carry it. And to understand why sales of TVC might be down, we can look at a few things that come to mind. Firstly, it is hard for fans to support product that just trickles into stores. Unlike the 90s, 2000s, and early 2010s, Star Wars figures are stocked one case at a time. If someone comes in and buys those the day they are put out on the shelf, it might be a week or longer until stock is replenished. So Target can't sell what it doesn't have, and whether they realize sales are down because stock is down is impossible to answer. Secondly, we can't ignore some of the peg warmers that have prevented newer stock from hitting shelves. If a Target location shows they have 10 TVC figures on the pegs, their system will not automatically reorder them. It doesn't matter if those 10 TVC figures are all Lando Calrissian. As you may recall, that figure, while absolutely fabulous, was packed at 3 figures per case. This led to the figure backing up on the pegs at both Target and Walmart, with Lando sticking around for a couple of years in many locations. There have been a couple other figures that have backed up as well, but in my experience, Lando is the most problematic. Thirdly, we have seen a steady increase in price of TVC over the last few years. They now cost $16.99, which is a hard pill to swallow if you're trying to sell your figure to an aunt or uncle looking for a birthday gift, who then sees a 12-inch Hero Series figure for $10 right next to it. $16.99 is steep, and while we continue to pay it as fans and collectors, it is a lot of money to spend for a child or younger collector trying to build a meaningful collection. Fourth, there's a TVC Deluxe assortment. I'm talking figures like Paz Vizsla, Sabine Wren, the new Jango Fett. I honestly think this assortment has hurt the main TVC Basic line at Target. Plastic-free packaging absolutely hurt sales across the board, and it is why the Black Series reverted to windows. Again, it's all about sales at the end of the day, not just for Target, but for Hasbro too. The Deluxe assortment being plastic-free and costing $25 or higher for a 3 3/4 action figure is problematic. It's notable that neither assortment is being replenished at Target, and I think the basic TVC line was kind of guilty by association with the Deluxe line and is no longer carried at Target alongside it. Fifth, Target is no longer carrying exclusive TVC product. In recent years, both Target and Walmart carried a reasonably high number of exclusive TVC figures. There was the Lucasfilm 50th assortment at Walmart and the Boba Fett exclusives at Target. That was now years ago. The Black Series still has exclusives at both stores, with more coming, but TVC does not. Instead, you're seeing exclusives go to the fan channel instead, meaning Hasbro Pulse, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, and a lot of the time Amazon. The fact that major retailers like Target and Walmart passed on incredible figures like Count Dooku and the Phase 1 Clone Trooper is very telling. They were ready to be done with TVC, at least for the time being. Sixth, there's the retro collection. I admit we can't completely blame retro, but we also sort of can at the same time. Sure, it's got its own DPCI and it's a different price point and intended a bit differently by Hasbro. But when you see them on the pegs next to TVC figures, they appear almost the same. And for the average consumer, you might see one being $10 and the other being $17 and go with what's cheaper. Again, your average aunt or uncle or grandparent might not be aware of photoreal or articulation and whatnot that makes the $17 figure better. Not to mention we now also have the $10 5POA figures that are also competing with TVC on store shelves. Finally, I think another contributing factor is the rise of the fan channel. With more people ordering their toys online from Hasbro Pulse, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, and Amazon, of course, this would affect sales at big box retailers. Sure, some people still hunt for their toys in stores, but most collectors buy online. Naturally, this would affect sales at stores like Target. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, as at the end of the day, the items are still being purchased, even if it's not at a brick and mortar store. Thankfully, retailers like the fan channel pick up the slack of Target and Walmart and often deliver a better overall experience that caters specifically to them. Those are all the reasons I believe contributed to Target, at least for now, no longer carrying TVC. But is this a good or a bad thing? Well, it's never a good thing for stores to stop carrying something you like to buy. As I mentioned already, it comes down to sales. And if they're not making the sale, there's little reason to keep trying to sell it. The biggest concern I have isn't something we will feel immediately or even over the course of the remainder of 2024. The TVC line has items coming, many of which we know about and many of which we don't, at least officially. And again, there's the new HasLab. My concern has to do more with the long-term viability of TVC. Target is one of the biggest investors in the line. And if one of your biggest investors suddenly drops out and quits investing, you have to find another way to pick up the slack. Maybe the fan channel will make up for it eventually, but if not, it could result in fewer items, more reuse in the form of repaints, and less accessory assortments like beasts or vehicles. It would basically be like what we're seeing with the Mandalorian Season 3 wave that's just now starting to hit, but on a much bigger scale. There would still be new sculpts, but not any meaningful growth to the line. And that's what many of us want, not the status quo of the last few years, but a more robust TVC line with more new tools per year and more diversity in accessory assortments. Time will tell if this concern is warranted or not, and who knows, maybe something will change and Target will start carrying TVC again. But based on what we know and when we know it, which is right now, this is how I assess the situation and what I feel is going on. As always, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on this matter. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel for future TVC videos, and if you haven't already, check out the Vintage Collection podcast wherever you enjoy podcasts. No matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy, thank you for watching VC. Until next time, bye-bye.